This is for the person who has been calling themselves a failure. If someone shared this with you because they see more in you than you do, let their seeing reach you. And if this changes how you see yourself, share it with someone else who needs a different perspective on their failure. Subscribe and stay. There is more of God's perspective here. Now let God speak into the failure. You fell, that is true. You failed at something, that is true. You did not measure up to your own standard. That may also be true. But none of those things make you a failure. Because a failure is a definition. And you are not defined by a moment. You are defined by the one who made you. And the one who made you does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the whole person, the whole story, the intentions, the effort, the weight you were carrying, the standard you were holding yourself to. And he says, that is not the whole of you. You are more than that moment, much more. David failed spectacularly, and God called him a man after his own heart. Not because David did not fail, because David kept coming back. So come back, get up. The God who made you sees more than your worst moment, and he is calling you back. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. He delights in every faithful stumbling way. And though he stumble, he shall not be cast fully. For the hand of the Lord holds him every day. He does not stay inside the pit of failing. He does not let the righteous stay down long. The God who orders steps and holds the stumbling is the God who helps you rise and grow more strong. He does not deal with you after your failing. He does not define you by your worst display. As high as heaven is above the earth below, so great his mercy over those who fall away. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell. And the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and He is reaching down to lift you as you fell. He forgives all the iniquity within me. He heals the wounds of every falling down. He redeems my life from every pit of failure. He crowns me when the world would give me frown. He does not deal with me according to my falling. He does not repay me for the worst I showed. As far as east is from the west, He carries every failure from the path that I have told. He does not deal with you after your failing. He does not define you by your worst display. As high as heaven is above the earth below, so great is mercy over those who fall away. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person He was building in the failing, and He sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you're someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and He is reaching down to lift you as you fell. He lifted me up from the pit of all my failing, and set my feet on ground both firm and high. He put a new song in my mouth for singing, a testimony of the failure left behind. And those who see the person rise from failing will trust in God who lifts the fallen well. For the pit is not the person, and the falling is not the final chapter of the tell. Stop calling yourself a failure, not because the failure did not happen, but because a failure is a description of a moment. And you are not a moment, you are a person that God formed before you were born, who knew every fall that was coming, and still chose to make you, still chose to love you, still chose to have plans for you. Plans that survive the failure, plans that are not derailed by the fall. You are not your worst moment. David was not his worst moment. Peter was not his worst moment. Paul was not his worst moment. And you are not yours. You are a person with a future that was planned before the failure, and is still intact after it. God sees more than your worst moment. Always get up. before the failure, before the falling moment. He formed you with a purpose beyond compare. So when the failure tries to be your definition, and when the fall tries to be what people see, the God who formed you with his hands so carefully says that falling thing is not the whole of thee. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and he is reaching down to lift you as you fell. Get up. Get up. Not because you have figured it all out, not because you have earned the right to try again. Get up because the God who made you says the falling is not the final word. The falling is a moment. You are a person, and the person is more than the moment. He is reaching down right now, the same way he reached into the pit, the same way he lifted every fallen person in the Psalms. He is reaching. Let him reach you. Get up. He sees more than your worst moment. He always has. And what he sees is worth getting up for. Trust in the Lord through all the failing season. Do not fret because the fall has come and gone. Commit your way to him in every stumbling, and watch as God establishes what belongs. The steps of the person who trusts are ordered. Even the stumbling steps are in his hand. And though they stumble, they shall not be cast down. For the Lord himself has made his faithful stand. The steps of the failing one are also ordered. He delights in the way of the stumbling one. And though they stumble, they are held upright by finished, it has begun. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and he is reaching down to lift you as you fell. Though he stumble, he shall not be cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. That is the promise. Not that the righteous never stumble, but that when they do, the Lord upholds them. You stumbled. That is true. But you are not cast down. Because the Lord is holding you up, even now, even in the failure. He is holding you. You are not cast Bless the Lord, O my failing soul, completely, and forget not all his benefits of grace. He forgives all the iniquity within me. He heals the wounds of every falling place. He redeems my life from every pit of failure. He crowns me when the world would give me shame, and as far as east is from the west forever, he carries every failure from my name. He does not deal with us according to the falling. He does not let our worst moment be our name. He removes the failure east from west completely, and crowns the one who fell with mercy all the same. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. He is reaching down to lift you as you fell. He does not deal with us according to our sins. He does not repay us according to our iniquities. That means the failure is not the measure of the relationship. His mercy is the measure. And his mercy is as high as heaven above the earth, as far as east from west. Your failure is not the summary of who you are to God. His mercy is, And His mercy has never been measured by what you did wrong. It is measured by His love, which is vast, east from west. You are not defined by the failure. You are covered by the mercy. I waited patiently upon the Lord unfailing, and He turned to me and heard my desperate cry. He lifted me up from the pit of all my failure and set my feet on ground both firm and high. He set my steps upon a rock and steady, and established all my forward steps to go. He put a new song in my mouth for singing, a testimony that the rising world would know. He lifted the one from the pit of their failing. He did not let them stay inside the fall. He reached in and pulled them to the firm and steady, and placed their feet where they could stand up tall. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person He was building in the failing, and He sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and He is reaching down to lift you as you fell. He lifted me out of the pit that is active. God actively lifting, not passively watching, not standing at the top saying, try harder, lifting. He is lifting you right now, out of the pit of the failure narrative, out of the identity built on the worst moment. He is lifting. Let Him lift. You will stand on solid ground again. He sets feet on rock. That is where you are going. He is lifting you there. I sought the Lord through all my failing season, and He heard my cry and answered from above. Those who look to Him are filled with radiance, even in the place of fallen love. He is near to those whose hearts are broken open. He saves the crushed and failing and the torn, and the person who cried from their place of falling found that God was near and makes them born. The righteous cry and the delivered every trace. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and he is reaching down to lift you as you fell. The righteous cry, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them out of all their troubles, all, including the trouble of the failure, including the shame that the failure left, including the broken confidence, including the voice that says you are done. All their troubles, he delivers. So cry, bring the failure to God, not the polished version, the actual failure, the embarrassing one, the one you cannot tell anyone about. Bring it. He hears. He delivers. Have mercy on me, O God, in your great kindness. According to your love, remove my stain. Wash me thoroughly from what I have done wrong, and let me feel the cleansing once again. Create inside me now a clean heart, Father. Renew a right and steadfast spirit in. Restore to me the joy after the failing, and let a willing spirit now begin. The sacrifice that pleases God is broken, a contrite heart that brings the failure home, and the God who receives the broken, failing heart creates in them a new and clean soul. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and he is reaching down to lift you as you fell. Create in me a clean heart. You cannot create a clean heart. That is the honest reality. You cannot restore your own confidence after failure. You cannot lift your own perspective out of the failure narrative. But God can. He creates the clean heart, the renewed spirit, the restored joy. He creates what you cannot manufacture. So bring him the broken heart, the one bruised by the failure, and ask, create in me a clean heart. He will. He always does. You have searched me, and you know me in my failing. You know the fall before it even came. You saw my unformed body in the secret, and formed me with a purpose and a name. And still you say I am fearfully and wonderfully made by your hand, with care before the fall. The failure did not change what you formed me as. You still call me wonderful above all. You formed me with intention and with wonder. You knew the failures that were coming too, and still you formed me and still called me wonderful. And the failure did not change your view. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and he is reaching down to lift you as you fell. You are fearfully and wonderfully made before the failure, after the failure, in the middle of the failure. God did not withdraw that declaration when you fell. He did not cross out the wonderful and replace it with failure. You are still his masterpiece, a masterpiece that fell, a masterpiece that is being restored, a masterpiece that God is not done with. Fearfully and wonderfully made. That is the identity that survives the failure, because God said it before you knew you would fail, and he still says it now. I will extol you, Lord, for you have lifted me. You brought me up from the pit of my disgrace. I cried to you, and you forgave the failing, and breathed into my soul, restored by grace. You turned my mourning into dancing always. You took the sackcloth off and clothed with gladness, so that my heart would sing the praise and glory, not stay silent underneath the sadness. He turned the mourning of the fallen failure into the dancing of the one set free. He took the garment of the failure off them and put on the gladness of the one he freed. God sees more than your worst moment defines you. He does not see you through the lens of the fall. He sees the person he was building in the failing, and he sees the rising more than all. You are not a failure, you are someone who fell, and the God who lifts the fallen knows you well. God sees more than your worst moment defines you, and he is reaching down to lift you as you fell. He turned my mourning into dancing, the mourning of the failure turned into dancing, the sackcloth of the failure identity removed and gladness put on. You are allowed to be glad again. You are allowed to try again. You are allowed to laugh again. The failure does not require you to mourn forever. He turns the mourning into dancing. That is the promise. And he is working on the turning right now. are not a failure. You are a person who fell. And the God who sees more than your worst moment is reaching down right now to lift you, to set your feet on solid ground, to put a new song in your mouth, to turn the mourning into dancing, to restore what the fall took. You are more than the worst thing you ever did. You are what God says you are, fearfully and wonderfully made, worth lifting, worth restoring, worth a new chapter. Get up. He is reaching. Let him lift.